Have you ever had a night when your body seemed perfectly fine, yet your spirit felt tired in a way no doctor could explain? A quiet exhaustion, not of muscles, but of the heart. Maybe you've been carrying something silently, a memory that still aches, a loneliness you don't speak about, a weight no one around you fully sees. If that feels familiar, you're not alone. Many of us reach a point in life where the outside looks steady, but inside, something whispers, I can't keep living like this. I need a different kind of healing. Tonight, I want to share a simple truth, a truth many forget as the years pass. The quietest medicine is the one already inside you. It doesn't shout, it doesn't rush, it waits for you to remember it. Here on Wisdom Quiet, we walk together into that remembering, slowly, gently, with a kind of honesty that lets the heart finally rest. And before we begin this 30-minute journey, I'd love to invite you, only if it feels right, to like this video, subscribe to Wisdom Quiet, and share it with someone who might be carrying their own quiet weight. And if any part of this story touches something in you, leave a comment, even a single word like peace. It may be a small offering, but small offerings can heal more than we realize. Now, take a slow breath. Feel your shoulders soften. Because what we're about to explore is not just how to ease suffering, but how to awaken the healer who has lived inside you all along. Part 1. Rooted Healing. Why the healer lives inside youth. There are days in life, especially as we grow older, when the body isn't weak, but the soul feels exhausted in a way we can't explain. Not the exhaustion from walking too far or staying up too late, but the kind that sits quietly behind the ribs, like a weight you've learned to carry without anyone noticing. Maybe you know that feeling. Maybe you felt it early in the morning, sitting at the edge of your bed while the house is still dark, wondering why your heart feels heavier than your hands can hold. If that's you, please hear this. Your body is not breaking down. It's calling you back. That is the truth many forget. The truth that begins every real healing journey. The quietest medicine is already inside you. It doesn't demand. It doesn't frighten. It simply waits for you to stop long enough to hear it. A story, David's awakening. I once knew a man named David, 70 years old, retired, healthy, according to every medical chart. Yet every morning, he woke up tired, not in his bones, but in his spirit. He tried changing supplements, drinking stronger coffee, joining new clubs, taking long walks in the park. Everything helped. For a moment, and then the heaviness returned. One afternoon, sitting on his old wooden porch with a cup of coffee steaming in the cool air, David realized something simple and painful. I fill every quiet moment with noise. The TV, the phone, the news. I haven't heard myself breathe in years, so he made one small change. Before turning on a single screen, before answering a single message, he sat still for 2 minutes, eyes soft, shoulders relaxed, listening to the gentle rise and fall of his breath. Just 2 minutes by the end of the week. Those 2 minutes felt like a doorway. By the end of the month, his mornings no longer felt like battles. His energy wasn't coming from caffeine, but from alignment. Mind, breath, heart, finally moving in the same direction. That was his healer awakening. Quiet, ordinary, profound. A small wisdom healing doesn't start when we change our diet or our routine, or even our beliefs. Healing begins the moment we stop fighting our life and start listening to it. Your body has been speaking to you in fatigue, in tension, in the way your breath shortens when you're overwhelmed. These aren't signs of failure. They are signals, messages, your inner healer trying to guide you home, because healing is not something added to you. It is something returned to you. 1-minute practice. Listen to the signal. Place your hand gently over your chest. Take one slow breath in and let it fall out softly. Whisper inwardly, "My healing begins with listening." Feel how the breath settles, not as effort, but as permission. Transition to part 2, and now that we've touched this truth, that healing begins with listening, there is a deeper step waiting for us, because even the inner healer cannot guide us if we are unwilling to see ourselves clearly. In part 2, Truthful Seeing, we will explore the first real medicine of transformation, the courage to look gently, honestly, at what the heart has been holding. Let's walk there together. Part 2, Truthful Seeing, how honest awareness begins. Healing. There comes a time in life when the hardest truth to face is not what others have done to us, but what we have quietly done to ourselves by refusing to feel what is real. It happens slowly, year after year, until one day you notice that the things you never said, the tears you never cried, the loneliness you never admitted, have become heavier than your body can carry. If you've ever felt that, you're not weak. You're human, and you've simply forgotten something essential. Pain doesn't break us. What breaks us is pretending it's not there. Why we turn over. Most people don't avoid their feelings because they lack courage. They avoid them because no one ever taught them how to face what hurts without collapsing under it. But the body remembers. The breath remembers. The nervous system remembers. When truth is ignored, it hides in the tightening of the shoulders, in the shallow breath before sleep, in the quiet anxiety that shows up even on peaceful days. Truthful seeing is the moment we stop fighting our inner world and begin listening to it, not with judgment, not with fear, but with a gentle curiosity, the kind we would offer a child who has been hurting, alone. A story. Margaret's quiet ache. Margaret was sick. To everyone around her, she seemed steady, smiling at church gatherings, watering her garden every morning, sharing stories about her grandchildren. But each evening, she returned to the same armchair beneath a warm yellow lamp, and the silence pressed against her chest like a memory that refused to fade. 10 years had passed since her husband left this world, and yet the grief still lived inside her like a closed room she never entered. During a meditation class, the teacher asked a simple question: "What truth have you been avoiding?" The room fell silent. Margaret's hands trembled, and for the first time in a decade, she allowed the words to rise. "I'm lonely, and I've been pretending I'm not." The moment she spoke it, something shifted, softly, like a knot loosening inside her chest. Her grief didn't vanish. It simply stopped hiding. And once it stopped hiding, it stopped controlling her. A small teaching: honesty does not create pain. It reveals the pain that was already there, so healing can finally reach it. Whatever you can name, you can hold. Whatever you can hold, you can soothe. And whatever you can soothe, you can eventually transform. This is why truthful seeing is the first medicine of healing. Not because truth is comfortable, but because truth is freeing, a gentle practice with a reason why before we continue. Try this small practice. Close your eyes. Place your hand over your heart. Take a slow breath. Ask softly, what truth is living in me right now? You are not searching. You are simply allowing. This practice works because naming a feeling activates the brain's calming centers, reducing the emotional charge and helping the nervous system rest. You are not forcing clarity. You are inviting it. Transition to part 3, and now that we have opened the door to honesty, another question arises. If our thoughts shape our reality, how do we stop old, painful thoughts from overtaking the garden of our mind? In part 3, Mind Garden, we will explore how every thought is a seed, and how choosing the right seeds can transform the entire landscape of your life. Shall we continue? Part 3, Mind Garden. Stop watering the weeds. There are days when you wake up and your mind already feels tired. Even before your feet touch the floor, you haven't argued with anyone. Nothing bad has happened. But somehow, it feels like your heart has been awake all night fighting a battle no one else can see. If you've ever felt that, it is not weakness. It is simply the garden of your mind asking for your attention. Because the truth is this: your mind is always growing something, whether you choose it or not. Some days it grows peace. Other days it grows worry, comparison, old stories, silent fears. And these weeds grow fast when we don't realize we're watering them. Why thoughts shape our lives? Most people think thoughts just happen, like weather, here one moment, gone the next. But the Buddha taught, and science now confirms, thoughts don't just visit you, they build you. A repeated thought becomes a belief. A belief repeated becomes a habit, and habits quietly shape your destiny. This is why emotional exhaustion appears even when nothing is wrong, because invisible thoughts have been working all day in the background. Your inner garden has been growing without your guidance. A story: James and the quiet weeds. James was 61, a retired bus driver with kind eyes and a gentle way of greeting everyone. The mailman, his neighbor's dog, anyone passing by. But behind that warmth was a mind that had forgotten how to speak kindly to itself. Every morning, before he even opened the blinds, James's first thought whispered, "You're behind. You should be doing more. You've wasted too much time." He never said these words aloud. He didn't even know they were there. But they shaped the way he walked through the day, heavy, pressured, quietly ashamed. One afternoon, in a mindfulness group, the instructor invited everyone to write down their first morning thought. James stared at the blank paper for a long moment before writing, "I'm already failing today." When he looked at the sentence, his eyes softened. He whispered, "I didn't know I was speaking to myself this way." For the first time in years, James saw the weeds in his mind, and with that seeing, a new possibility opened. He could choose what to water next. A small teaching: the mind is not a battlefield. It is a garden. Fear grows when watered. So does resentment. So does regret. But so do gentleness, gratitude, patience, and peace. The goal is not to control every thought. No one can do that. The goal is to notice which ones you feed, and which ones you allow to shrink from lack of nourishment, because what you water becomes what you live. Signature quote: "You can't stop birds from flying over your head, but you can stop them from building a nest in your mind." A gentle practice: name and nourish with reason why when a difficult thought appears. Pause for a single slow breath, then softly name it. This is fear. This is regret. This is self-judgment. Why does this work? Because naming a thought activates the brain's calming centers, reducing its emotional power, like turning on a light in a dark room. Next, Nourish the opposite seed. May I trust my path. May I be at ease. May I be gentle with myself. Do this often, and the entire garden begins to change. Transition to part 4, but there is something deeper still. Some weeds in our garden come from seeds, planted long ago, old hurts, old resentments, old stories that keep returning no matter how gently we try to move on to truly heal. We must learn not only to tend the garden, but to release the weight of what no longer belongs. In part 4, letting go, not forgetting, we will explore how releasing the past is not losing it, but freeing ourselves to finally live. Let's walk there together. Part 4, letting go. Not forgetting and burdening the past. There comes a time in life, usually after many seasons of loving, losing, and surviving, when you realize this truth. The past does not stay alive because it happened. It stays alive because you keep carrying it. Some memories sit quietly in the heart for years. Some regrets whisper only at night. Some wounds reopen without warning. A smell, a song, a photograph, and suddenly you're back in a moment you thought you had left far behind. If that has ever happened to you, it does not mean you are broken. It simply means you have held the past longer than your heart was meant to. Letting go does not equal forgetting. Many people fear letting go because they think it means erasing history, erasing love, erasing meaning, erasing someone they once cared for. But letting go is not forgetting. Letting go is releasing the pain, not the memory. It is keeping the lesson, but setting down the weight. It is saying, this shaped me, but it no longer defines me. Why we hold on, the mind believes that holding on protects us. If I don't forgive, I stay safe. If I keep remembering, I won't be hurt again. If I don't release it, I stay in control. But the truth is gentler and harder. Holding on doesn't protect you. It keeps you living inside a wound long after the moment has passed. Letting go is not losing. It is allowing yourself to finally breathe. A story, Claire and the Stone. Claire was 72. For 10 years after her husband passed, she lived with a quiet ache, a guilt she never spoke aloud. Every morning she walked the same forest trail, the soft crunch of pine needles under her shoes, the crisp scent of morning air, the wooden bridge that arched over a narrow stream. She didn't know why that bridge always tightened her chest. One day, her granddaughter joined her, a bright, curious 9. As they crossed the bridge, the little girl picked up a smooth stone and asked, "Grandma, why do people carry things that make them sad?" The question landed in Claire's heart like a bell ringing in an empty room. She remembered the last argument she had with her husband. The day before he died, words spoken in frustration. Never repaired, never forgiven, for 10 years. She had carried that moment as if it were a stone in her pocket. She knelt by the stream, holding the stone in her palm. The water sparkled beneath her, moving gently, patiently, as if waiting. Claire whispered, "I will not forget you, but I will not carry this weight anymore." She placed the stone into the flowing water. The stream did not erase the stone. It simply carried it where it no longer burdened her. Her memory remained, but her heart finally softened. A small teaching. Letting go is not force. It is understanding. You release the burden, not the story. You release the suffering, not the love. You release the guilt, not the wisdom. Signature quote: the past doesn't need to disappear. It only needs to stop holding the steering wheel. Freedom is remembering without reopening the wound. A gentle release practice with reason why, if you feel comfortable. Close your eyes for a moment. Bring to mind a memory or resentment you've carried for too long. Place your hand over your heart and breathe deeply once. With your next exhale, whisper, "I release the weight, not the lesson." Why does this help? Because when the body breathes slowly while the mind names an intention, the nervous system shifts from protection to healing. Letting go doesn't happen instantly. It happens like snow melting, quietly, softly. In its own timing. Transition to part 5. Now that we've begun to free the heart from old burdens, another truth appears. It isn't only the past that weighs on us. The present can overwhelm us too, through what we see, hear, and consume every day. In part 5, Gatekeeping the Senses, we will explore how protecting what enters your mind is just as essential as releasing what no longer belongs there. Shall we continue? Gently. Part 5. Gatekeeping. The senses choose your inputs. Like medicine, as we grow older, we begin to realize something surprising. It's not age that exhausts us. It's what we allow into our senses every day. The noise we hear, the images we absorb, the stories we repeat, the conversations we stay in too long. Most people protect their bodies carefully, avoiding certain foods, tracking vitamins, choosing healthy routines, yet allow their mind to digest anything. But the Buddha taught that the senses are the gates through which peace enters or escapes. Guarding them is an act of love. Why the senses need protection? Everything that reaches your eyes, ears, and heart leaves an imprint. A harsh headline, a loud argument, a negative conversation, a scrolling session full of comparison. We tell ourselves it's just information, but the nervous system doesn't treat it that way. Stressful input activates the body as if a threat were standing in the room. That is why some mornings feel heavy before the day has even begun. Your senses were flooded before you even had breakfast. Your mind digests impressions just like your stomach digests food, and not everything is good for you. A story: Michael and the morning noise. Michael, 65, had a morning ritual, one he never questioned. Wake up, turn on the TV, let the news fill the room while he made his coffee. Politics, disasters, stock market fear, the voices echoed through the kitchen before the sun even touched the Windowsill. He thought it didn't matter. It's just background noise, he said. But over the years, his shoulders tightened every morning. His breath grew shorter. A quiet anxiety followed him even on peaceful days. Then one weekend, he stayed at his daughter's home. When he woke up, there was no TV, only silence, soft light spilling across the hardwood floor, and the sound of birds tapping the window. He felt calm, unusually calm. That evening, his daughter asked gently, "Dad, have you noticed how different you feel when your morning doesn't start with noise?" The question hit him like a soft truth. The next day, Michael tried something new. He brewed his coffee in silence. No TV, no news, no voices. Just the warm scent of coffee and the stillness of an untouched morning. By the end of the week, he felt lighter, not because anything changed around him, but because he had changed what he allowed in. He had begun guarding his senses. A small teaching piece is not only created by what you do, it is shaped by what you permit to enter your inner world. You get to choose what you watch, what you listen to, what conversations you stay in, what energies you let near your heart. This is not isolation. This is wisdom. Signature quote. You cannot grow a peaceful mind on a diet of chaos. Guarding the senses isn't closing the doors, it's choosing who and what you welcome inside. A gentle practice, one conscious filter each morning. Before you turn on a device or open your phone, pause for one breath. Ask, will this nourish my spirit or drain it? Why it works. This single question activates the part of the brain responsible for awareness and emotional regulation, interrupting automatic habits that expose you to unnecessary stress. If the answer feels heavy, choose silence instead. Silence is not emptiness, it is healing space. One intentional filter can shift the tone of an entire day. Transition to part 6. And now that we've learned how protecting what enters the mind creates room for peace, there is a deeper medicine waiting, one that requires no effort, no belief, and no sound. In part 6, Silence as Medicine, we will explore how quiet restores the mind in ways nothing else can. Let's continue gently. Part 6, Silence as Medicine. How to do quiet without losing time as we grow older. Something strange begins to happen. We sleep, but the mind doesn't. We rest, but the heart still feels tired. We wake up, already carrying yesterday's noise, and most people don't realize why. It's because the mind has gone years, sometimes decades, without true silence. Not the silence filled with TV hum, notifications, or background chatter, but the silence where the mind finally stops running. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is medicine. It is where healing begins without effort. Why silence heals the mind and body or brain is always working, sorting information, predicting danger, replaying memories. Even when the house grows quiet, your inner world often keeps vibrating with old conversations, unfinished worries, unswallowed emotions. But when you enter true silence, a different system awakens. Your nervous system shifts from defense to repair. Thoughts stop shouting. Breath finds its rhythm. The heart finally relaxes into its natural pace. This is why ancient monks spent hours beside rivers, under trees, in open courtyards, not to escape life, but to return to themselves. A story. Linda and the Porch of Quiet. Linda was sick, a retired librarian with a gentle presence and a mind that never stopped moving to avoid feeling alone. She kept her TV on all day. News, talk shows, commercials, a constant river of sound. One afternoon, a summer storm knocked out the power. Everything went still. Annoyed, she stepped out to the small backyard porch she rarely used. At first, the silence felt uncomfortable, as if it were too honest, too revealing. But slowly, she noticed things she had forgotten to hear. The soft tapping of leaves, the far-off hum of cicadas, her breath rising and falling like waves she had never watched. A warm stripe of sunlight rested across her knees. A breeze passed through the trees as if whispering. Finally, when she went back inside, she felt something surprising: relief. A lightness she couldn't explain. Later she said, it wasn't the power that went out. It was the noise inside me. From that day forward, 10 minutes of silence each morning became her most important medicine. It didn't steal her time. It returned her life. A small teaching. Silence is not the absence of living. Silence is the space where life becomes clear. It reveals the truth beneath the noise. It lets the heart breathe without being pulled in every direction. It shows you who you are without distraction. Signature insight. Clarity is what rises when noise finally falls. A gentle practice, 10 quiet breaths. Find a chair, a porch, or your bed. Sit comfortably. Let your shoulders fall. Take 10 slow, conscious breaths. Feel the silence inside each one, the soft pause between inhale and exhale. Even a few seconds of true quiet begins reorganizing the mind. Why it works when breath slows. The parasympathetic system activates. Your body's natural healing mode. These 10 breaths can shift the entire emotional weather of your day. Transition to part 7. Silence softens the mind. But what happens when you return to speaking, to conversations, to misunderstandings, to the noise of human interaction? To protect this new softness, we must learn a deeper skill, how to speak and how to listen without harming our own peace. In part 7, Speak and Listen with Care, we'll explore how your words become medicine or poison, and how mindful speech can transform your relationships. Shall we continue gently? Part 7, Speak and Listen with Correct Speech. Right hearings, we grow older. We begin to notice something subtle but exhausting. It's not the chores. It's not the weather. It's not even age. It's the conversations that drain us without warning. A sentence that stings. A tone that tightens the chest. A long phone call that leaves the heart feeling heavier than before it started. No one prepares us for this truth. Words can nourish, and words can quietly wound. The Buddha taught that speech is not just communication. Speech is energy, and energy always returns to the one who sends it. That is why mindful speaking and mindful listening are not just spiritual practices. They are survival skills for the heart. Why our words matter more than we realize. Every word begins inside you long before it reaches someone else. A sharp word comes from tension. A gentle word comes from understanding. A rushed word comes from fear. A compassionate word comes from clarity, and the body responds instantly. A harsh tone tightens the jaw. A defensive sentence rises from the shoulders. A kind word softens the breath before the other person even hears it. We think speech is something we give out, but speech is something we live inside. This is why speaking unkindly hurts the speaker first, and listening without boundaries silently empties the listener. Right speech, right listening. To medicines the modern world forgets. A story, Daniel and the evening called Daniel, called his sister every evening, a ritual they had kept for years. But lately, after each call ended, he felt a tightness behind his ribs that he couldn't explain. The sunset was peaceful. The room was quiet, yet his heart felt tired, as if someone had dimmed the light inside him. Her voice was familiar, but the energy of the conversations was heavy. Complaints, worries, frustrations, spilled out every night. Daniel didn't want to judge her. He simply didn't know how to protect his peace without abandoning the person he loved. One evening, after hanging up, he noticed his jaw clenched, his breath shallow, his shoulders raised. For the first time, he saw what the call had done to his body. The next night, he tried something different. When his sister began her usual river of worries, Daniel gently interrupted. Before we talk about anything else, tell me one thing that made you smile today. Silence. A soft inhale. Then a small shift. Well, the neighbor brought me soup this morning. Her tone softened. The air changed. For the first time in months, their conversation felt like a place to rest, not a place to endure. Within weeks, their calls no longer drained Daniel. They warmed both of them, not because she became a different person, but because he became a gentler guide for the energy between them. A small teaching mindful speech doesn't mean you always say nice things. It means you speak from a place that does not harm you, or the person in front of you. Mindful listening doesn't mean absorbing everything. It means hearing clearly without carrying more than your heart can hold. Signature insight. Speak from your scars, not your wounds. Listen with your heart, not your fear. When you speak from pain, your words cut. When you speak from wisdom, your words heal. A gentle practice, one breath before speaking, before replying, especially in emotional conversations. Take one slow breath, just one. This tiny pause moves the mind from reaction to awareness, why it works. A single deep inhale calms the amygdala, the brain's alarm center, helping your words come from clarity rather than instinct. Over time, this one breath can transform every relationship you have. Transition to part 8, and now that we've learned how to shape the energy of our words and protect the tenderness of our listening, another question appears. What do we do with the emotions inside us? The ones we've buried, avoided, or carried alone for years. In part 8, Emotional Alchemy, we will explore how emotions transform, not when you resist them, but when you finally let them move. Shall we continue, gently? Part 8, Emotional Alchemy Transform. Don't bury us, we get older. We begin to feel a strange kind of heaviness, one that doesn't come from age, or weather, or illness, but from the emotions we never gave ourselves permission to feel. We sleep, yet wake up tired. We rest, yet the heart still feels full of weight. We smile, yet something inside the chest feels tight, like a drawer overfilled and never opened. Most people think this heaviness means they're weak, but the truth is gentler. You are not tired because you feel too much. You are tired because you haven't been allowed to feel at all. Emotional alchemy is the healing that happens when emotions stop being trapped and start being transformed, not buried, not avoided, not explained away, but met honestly, softly, with breath. Why emotions must move. The word emotion literally means energy in motion. When you let it move through breath, tears, writing, speaking, it passes. When you trap it, it turns into tension in the shoulders, in the throat, in the stomach, in the nights where sleep won't come. Many of us grew up believing that being strong meant being silent, that calmness meant don't cry, that resilience meant don't feel. But the body remembers every emotion the mind avoids. Emotional alchemy is the process of letting old pain finally exhale. A story, Martha and the drawer. She feared. Martha was 74. A widow with gentle hands and a heart that learned how to survive by staying busy. Her home was spotless, her schedule full, her smile practiced, but for 10 years, one drawer in her bedroom remained closed. Inside were small relics of her old life, her husband's watch, a photograph from their first trip, a concert ticket he had once kept folded in his wallet. She told herself she didn't open it because she didn't want to mess, or didn't need memories, or had already healed. But deep down, she knew. She was afraid of what might rise if she touched what she loved. One afternoon, after a day of feeling unusually heavy, Martha sat at the edge of her bed. Her breath wavered. Her fingers touched the drawer handle, and she whispered, "I think I'm ready." When she opened it, the wave came. Sadness, longing, love, guilt, tenderness, a whole lifetime breathing again. She cried, not because she was broken, but because she was finally letting her heart move. The drawer was never the burden, her avoidance was. When the tears softened, she felt lighter, not because the past changed, but because she had stopped locking it away. This is emotional alchemy, turning locked pain into flowing truth. Our small teaching emotions are not enemies. They are messengers. Anger becomes clarity when allowed to speak. Sadness becomes tenderness when allowed to soften. Fear becomes courage when met with breath. Grief becomes love when no longer resisted. Signature insight: healing doesn't happen when you close the door. It begins when you finally turn on the light. The moment you stop fighting emotion, it stops fighting you back. A gentle practice name: locate. Breathe when a strong emotion appears. 1. Name it. This is sadness. This is anger. Naming separates you from the feeling. 2. Locate it. Where is it in your body? Chest, throat, stomach, shoulders. This reconnects mind and body, the foundation of emotional healing. 3. Breathe into that space. Slow inhale, slow exhale, letting the tightness loosen one breath at a time. Why it works? Because an emotion seen is an emotion already changing. This practice doesn't suppress emotion, it transforms it. Transition to part 9, when emotions begin to move again. The heart changes shape, it becomes softer, more open, more understanding. And from that softness emerges two of the greatest healers we have: compassion and gratitude. In part 9, compassion and gratitude, we'll explore how opening the heart doesn't make you fragile, it makes you whole. Shall we continue gently? Part 9, compassion and gratitude, the twin healers of the heart. There comes a moment in life, usually after loss, after disappointment, after years of carrying more than we ever admitted, when the heart quietly closes its doors. Not because we stop loving, but because we are tired of being hurt. If you've ever said, "I just don't have the emotional energy anymore," or "my heart feels older than my body," then you already know this moment. But here's the gentle truth: a closed heart is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of exhaustion. And compassion together with gratitude is the medicine that helps the heart open again. Softly, safely, without force. Why compassion is the beginning of healing. Compassion is not pity. It is not forgetting. It is not letting someone off the hook. Compassion is the simple recognition that suffering is universal. You're suffering, they're suffering, everyone's suffering. It doesn't say, "What they did was okay." It says, "I understand the human condition behind it." When compassion rises, judgment loosens, anger softens, old pain loses its sharpness. Compassion doesn't erase the wound. It stops the wound from owning you, and that is the beginning of emotional freedom. Why gratitude changes everything. Gratitude is not pretending things are fine. It is seeing clearly what remained faithful to you through every season of your life, your resilience, your courage, your capacity to love even after loss, the simple blessings that survived the storm. Gratitude doesn't rewrite your past. It rewrites your relationship with it. It whispers, "I didn't choose the pain, but I choose what grows from it." This is why compassion and gratitude are twin healers. One softens pain, the other reveals meaning. Together, they turn surviving into awakening. A story: Harold and the chair by the window. Harold had lived alone since his wife passed. Every morning, he avoided the wooden chair by the window, the one she used to read in, her legs tucked under a blanket, her smile spilling into the sunlight. For years, the chair felt like a wound. He walked around it. He dusted it without looking. He pretended it wasn't there. One winter morning, snow falling gently outside, Harold paused, Something in him, something quiet and tired, finally whispered, "You can touch the memory without breaking." He placed his hand on the chair. His breath shook. His eyes softened. And he whispered, "Thank you. Not thank you for the loss. Not thank you for the grief. But thank you for the love that made the grief possible." And for the first time in years, the chair didn't hurt him. It held him. This is the power of compassion and gratitude. Compassion allowed him to feel his grief without drowning in it. Gratitude allowed him to love again without fear. A small teaching compassion says, "This pain is real." Gratitude says, "But this pain is not all there is." Together, they reopen the heart, not to the past, but to life. Signature insight. Compassion opens the door. Gratitude invites the light in. A gentle practice, the heart softening. Pause once a day. Try this, especially when you feel heavy, defensive, or emotionally closed. 1. Pause for one breath, a deep, slow inhale that tells your body, "I'm safe." 2. Whisper a compassion phrase to yourself. "May I be gentle with what hurts." Then about someone who challenges you, may they find peace, not approval, just peace. 3. Whisper a gratitude phrase, "Thank you for what stayed with me." This may be a memory, a person, or simply your breath. Why this works? Because the nervous system softens when compassion enters, and the heart stays open when gratitude follows. This 20 to 30-second ritual can change an entire day. Transition to part 10, and now that your heart knows how to open again, gently, wisely, bravely, one final question remains. What kind of life will you create with this new, awakened heart? In part 10, the legacy of peace, we will explore how to live the rest of your days with calmness, clarity, and a sense of purpose so deep that it becomes the quiet gift you leave to others. Shall we walk there together? Part 10. The legacy of peace, becoming the calm that lives after you at a certain age, when the rush of life slows, when accomplishments lose their shine, when the evenings feel quieter, a gentle but piercing question appears. When I am gone, what part of me will remain? It is one of the deepest fears of the human heart. The fear of being forgotten. The fear that our footsteps will fade without leaving anything soft behind. But here is the truth. Few people realize your legacy is not what you did. Your legacy is how your presence made others feel. The warmth in your voice. The steadiness of your kindness. The peace people felt when they sat beside you. Those are the things that outlive the body. Those are the things that echo for generations. What it means to leave a legacy of peace. The legacy of peace is not a lesson you teach. It is a life you embody. You leave peace behind not by preaching calmness, but by becoming calmness. You leave compassion behind not by instructing others to be gentle, but by living with gentleness. You leave love behind not through grand gestures, but through the soft presence that makes others breathe easier. A peaceful life is not a quiet life. It is a conscious life. And consciousness is the greatest inheritance you can give. A story, Eleanor and the bench that held her light. Eleanor was 81, with silver hair that glowed in the afternoon sun and a heart that life had softened, not hardened. Every day at 4 p.m., she walked slowly to a wooden bench behind her garden. It wasn't a special bench. It wasn't expensive. But it was where she practiced peace. She sat, she breathed, she listened to the wind like it was an old friend. And every day she whispered a single intention: let no storm inside me spill onto the people I love. Her family once asked, Why do you spend so much time out there alone? Eleanor smiled. I'm not alone. Peace is sitting with me. They didn't understand, not then, years later. After Eleanor passed, her granddaughter visited the house. She walked into the garden, saw the old bench, and sat down, and instantly, without knowing why, she felt calm, warm, held, safe. As if the bench had absorbed Eleanor's quiet heart and was now returning it to anyone who needed it. Tears filled her granddaughter's eyes. She whispered, I finally understand. This is what you were leaving for us. This is a legacy of peace, the invisible gift that lives on because you lived with intention. A small teaching: you will not be remembered for perfection. You will be remembered for presence. You will not be remembered for the storms you survived. You will be remembered for how softly you walked after the storm. Past. Signature insight: peace is not what you leave behind. Peace is what awakens in others because your life touched theirs. This is the true immortality of the heart. A gentle practice, the last 5 minutes ritual every night. Use the final 5 minutes of your day to shape the legacy you wish to leave. Sit somewhere quiet. Place your hand over your heart. Let the breath soften. Then whisper these 3 intentions to 1. Release. May I not pass my unhealed pain forward. Let the exhale carry away the tension of the day. To honor. Thank you for what stayed with me today. Moment of gratitude for even the smallest blessing. 3. Bless. May my presence tomorrow bring calm where there is fear, warmth where there is distance, and peace where there is pain. Why this works? Because the nervous system remembers the final feeling of the day and carries it into tomorrow. This practice turns peace from an idea into a lived legacy. And now, as we reach the end of this journey together, I want to honor something precious in you. You chose healing. You chose awareness. You chose peace, not just for yourself, but for everyone whose life will cross yours. That choice is already a legacy. If these words touched your heart, you may share your reflection in the comments, or simply write peace as your quiet offering to the world. And if you wish to keep walking this gentle path with us, please like the video, subscribe to Wisdom Quiet, and share this light with someone who may need it. Until we meet again, may your breath be calm, your days be soft, and your heart remember, you don't need time to leave a legacy, you only need presence.